In one of the lectures, you say that attachment is a result of space and time.
Yes.
So, but often in a situation, if somebody talks to us politely or sweetly,
Yes.
we tend to go in that flow and want to spend more time with that person.
Right.
On the contrary, if somebody abuses me or throws harsh words on me, I won't like to sit with him.
Right.
Even if he's closer to me, even if I've spent a lot of time with him.
See, attachment, like anything else, is in the mind. When somebody is nice and polite to you, when somebody is not hurting you, you remember him. You remember him nicely. You probably call him a friend. And when somebody is hurtful or abrasive, then too you remember him. Now you probably remember him as a villain, as an enemy, as somebody to be avoided. Right? But in either case, you do remember him. What is common between friends and enemies? You have thoughts about them. You remember both of them, right? You're not indifferent to either of them. And this is attachment. This is attachment. What is the real meaning of attachment? Understand this. Deep within us, there is a desire to know who we are. We want to say, I am, and then we stop there awkwardly. We don't know what to say. There is a blank. This I am wants desperately to get attached to something so that the sentence may be completed. Do you see that this is a very awkward blank? I am, and then you can't proceed any further. Attachment is the urge to fill in this blank so that the sentence may be completed. Are you getting it? So with friends, I am gets completed by saying I am the friend of X. With enemies, the I am gets completed by saying I am the enemy of Y. In either case, the I am is getting attached. In either case, the I am is getting attached. I am needs an object to get attached to. Attachment is a side effect of your basic search for identity. Because you do not know the real answer to the question, who am I? Hence all you get is attachment. Attachment to this and that. Are you getting it? The question arises, and the question demands an answer. The question demands an eventual dissolution. But the dissolution isn't coming. So the I am like a free radical. You know of free radicals in chemistry? Like an hydroxyl ion, OH minus. Or like H3O plus. They are always searching for something to get associated with. They are very unstable. You know of them, right? They cannot remain lonely. They want something to get associated with. Similar is our sense of I am. It cannot remain by itself. It needs company. And because it needs company, it gets attached to something. And that something can be anything. Whatever comes within the purview of mind space, it will get attached to that. And mind space is this world, which is space and time. So the more time you spend somewhere, the more is the probability of attachment. The more somebody is closer to you physically, meaning that the more somebody is in the range of your sensual perception, something that your eyes can see and ears can hear, the more is the probability of attachment. Why are we discussing all this? So that we do not take the process of attachment seriously. So that we know that there is nothing real about it. So that we know that attachment in fact hides the real question. By getting attached, one avoids the real question. And the real question will not go away just because you are avoiding it. You may find it uncomfortable, you don't want to face it, but it doesn't go away. It results in a kind of disquiet. It's like a mental itch. You cannot rest. You are always quibbling. Have you seen that? One can't sit in peace. Have you seen this? That the eyes are always searching for something here and there. That the mind is searching for this and that. We keep looking for this and that. We keep distracted. We cannot keep to ourselves, and we do not realize what is it that we are really searching for. If one pays a little attention, it becomes obvious that there is something that we are missing, and we are desperate to find it out. All this impatience, all this restlessness, all this haphazard movement of energy, all this random search to reach somewhere, all this comes from that fundamental blankness, that void, vacancy. I am blank. So fill it with something. Fill it with something. It hurts, that blank. So fill it with something. Even if that something is not appropriate at all, fill it up, because that vacancy hurts. And it hurts all the time, so we want to fill it up all the time. What do we fill it up with? Some object. So right now an object is needed. So some of you would, for example, look outside. What is happening? Do you know what you are doing? You are gathering some object to fill in the blank. Some object is needed all the time, every moment. It could either be a sensual perception, so if somebody is visible, that person becomes that object, or if no person is available, which sometimes happens, then we fill it up with thoughts. So think of somebody. Either look at somebody or think of somebody. Either look at something or think of something. An object is needed.
So you said mind should not be filled with thoughts, and thoughts hinders the intelligence. So now you are stating that we should fill it with the thoughts. Can you clarify?
Did I say we should fill it up with thoughts? Did I say we should fill it up with thoughts? Or did I describe what happens? I'm saying this is what happens. I am just describing our state. I am just describing our disease. A description of a disease is not a patronization of the disease. Your eyes are searching something outwards, and that is a disease. I am describing it. I am not commending it. These small booklets that you are carrying, one of the things that they say is, when the disease is unreal, then the diagnosis is the cure. If we just understand that the mind is not at ease, not at ease is what I'm calling as dis-ease. Ease is relaxation, that we are unable to relax. This way or that way, we want something. Relaxation doesn't come to us. That's disease. When we realize that such is the dis-ease of the mind, then probably a huge step towards curing it has been taken. Sometimes just a description of the disease is the cure. Or is it not? Yes. Yes.
One of your quotes says that suffering is sin. What the human perception says that those people who are evil or have done something bad generally suffer. But there are innocent people in life too, and yet they suffer. What sin have they committed to suffer? Why?
A couple of days back, I asked a particularly suffering person, how do you get time to suffer? From where do you eke out this time? From where do you steal this time? There is so much else that could have been done in this time. First of all, you understand that suffering is mental, and everything mental requires time, right? You require time to suffer. You cannot say that I am suffering instantaneously. Suffering involves thoughts, emotions, and all of them consume time. Don't they? Can you suffer without time? So when you are suffering, you are surely pulling out time from somewhere. From where are you pulling out time? That time could have gone to the real. That time could have been spent in a space of joy. That time could have been spent in a pursuit that does not involve the ego. But because you are so much concerned with your own petty self, which is always hungry, it never feels satiated, so you suffer. I am assuring you, if at this moment I say, think about all your misfortunes, think about all the ways you have been hurt in your life, think about all that has been wrong in your past, you will start suffering right now. Some of you might actually be suffering right now thinking of some event that happened yesterday morning. Now, from where are you taking out time to suffer? You are taking out time to suffer from this Samvaad event. You could have listened. You could have been attentive. Instead, you are choosing to suffer. No one who suffers is innocent. An innocent man, by definition, cannot suffer. An innocent man, by definition, cannot suffer. He is impervious to suffering. He does not have that faculty. Suffering is reserved for those who deserve to suffer. If somebody is suffering, it is never an unjust suffering. Kindly give up this notion that innocents suffer. Innocents cannot suffer, and that is why they are innocent. Do you know what the word innocent means? He is innocent of suffering. By definition, he is innocent. He is innocent of suffering. He cannot suffer. Only guilty ones suffer. That is why some wise man once said that the reward of suffering is more suffering. You suffer and you'll be rewarded with more suffering. And the reward of joy is more joy.
Is there a differentiation between physical suffering and mental suffering? Let me suffice with an example. Suppose a person who is wrongly convicted for some crime he has not done is sent to jail. Now, so by default in jail he cannot be happy. That is he is even physically suffering because physically he has been put into a prison, and mentally suffering according to your definition that because he is taking time for that suffering. So can you like suffer? Elaborate on that.
There has to be an entity that suffers. There has to be an identification with the entity that suffers. Great works of literature have been written in jails. Do you think they were written under a spell of suffering? And the people who suffer in jail, do you think their suffering is ameliorated when they come out of the jail? They are still suffering. The one who suffers in jail will suffer out of jail as well. There is no end to their suffering. And the one who does not ever suffer will not suffer even in jail. And as far as the physical part of it goes, remember that pain and suffering are two different things. The athlete on the field is surely feeling the pain. A marathon runner at the 35th mile is surely feeling pain. But is he suffering? Yes, is he suffering? Pain is easy. You can take it. It is suffering that is like a termite for the mind. It keeps eating us. And kindly don't think that one is suffering only when there are tears and sobs and emotional expressions. We suffer so much that suffering becomes a permanent subconscious state with us. We are suffering even when we are laughing. Wherever there is lack of clarity, there is bound to be suffering. Wherever there is conditioning, there is bound to be suffering. The man may look very jolly. The girl may look very chirpy, but deep within she is suffering all the time. You know of such cases, right? I'm saying we all are such cases, without exception. And it is because we are suffering that we seek so many remedies, like entertainment, like company. Like excitement, like goals and targets, like occasional celebrations. They are just a proof of the suffering mind. And we are not in jail, yet we are suffering.
As you said, a person who suffers is obviously attached to, like, he always want to fill that blank, I can. So a person who is innocent, he is ignorant of the fact, like, I don't have to fill that blank. Has he found a solution to that?
Two situations are there. Either he has found a solution, or he has not been stained yet. You know what is meant by a solution? Something that dissolves all the rubbish, clears away all the rubbish. That is called a solution. The question is a stain. The question is a problem. A solution dissolves away the question. That is one situation. The other situation is the question has not even arisen. That is why only two people are innocent. Either a small kid, the question has not even arisen. The stain has not been put on the mind. Or a wise man. The stain was there, but the stain has been dissolved away. Only these two people are innocent.
So they don't attach.
But the kid's innocence is very temporary and fleeting. Very soon it would be conditioned by the society. The wise man's innocence is permanent. Now it is secure.
So how they get rid of the blank? Like, they stop at right there, I can, that's it, there's no blank for them.
There is no blank. You could either say there is no blank, or you could say that they have known what to fill that blank with. They know what is really important, and nothing else can fill that blank. They know what is really important, and they will not allow anything else to fill that blank. And that happens at every moment. For example, this poster fell down. It created a little bit of noise, and there was a flutter, and the senses could perceive it. The eyes could see, the ears could hear. All of us could do that, right? But some of you knew what is important, so you were not perturbed at all. And a couple of us simply did not know what is important, and it became something exciting. The entire attention went in that direction. Life gives us demonstrations all the time. It keeps on telling us where we really stand. If only we love ourselves enough to listen to life. This was a stain, and we allowed this to mark our mind. It created a dent in the consciousness. It created a mark on the mind. We allowed that. We allowed that. We did not know what is really, really important. So anything petty, casual, trivial, stinking, unworthy comes and sits in our mind. And we allow it. Who am I? The one who gets disturbed by a falling poster. That's our answer to the question, who am I? That's what happens when you are not innocent. And then you suffer. And again you suffer. Life gives demonstrations all the time. You want another one to fall? I'll make that happen at an opportune time. Use that statement with caution. Nothing is okay actually. Is anything really okay? In such situations, when a falling particle has control over our minds, can really anything be okay? Yes.
So I want to ask, what life really wants to teach us? Like we suffer through good things, we see bad things, and like what's the ultimatum? Life teaches us good things or bad things. Like, what's the purpose of life? Teach good things or bad things?
What are good things?
Good things which are basically related to which I say from the social life, which are related to me, and bad things which I do not found solutions to, and they keep on acting on my mind, and I get attached to them. So life really want to teach us that you have to stay away from them, or life want to show us the only good things.
No, I'm still not very clear about what are good things and what are bad things.
Okay.
Anything that makes me feel good or makes me feel relevant is good, and which does not make me feel good or relevant is bad.
Anything that
It changes from people to people. Good.
changes from person to person. So how does it change from person to person, the definition of good and bad? Priorities. And how do priorities change from person to person? Conditioning. So good and bad is? Is life going to adhere to your codes of conditioning? You may think that touching somebody's feet is wonderful. Will the sunlight increase when you hug somebody? Or do the winds stop blowing when you curse somebody? What does life have to do with your code of conduct? There is light in this room, right? Whether you kiss somebody or whether you kill somebody, the light won't be affected. Light would keep falling. Life is like this. Life is indifferent to your beliefs, values, and conditioning. You may celebrate Diwali or you may celebrate Christmas. The weather would remain what it has to. Or is the weather exceptionally fine because today is Diwali? If it has to rain, it will rain. Life has nothing to do with your festivals or your sufferings. A great man may have died, but the birds are still chirping. Or are they not? And it may be your wedding day, but if it has to rain, it rains. You feel bad. Oh my God, my party has been spoiled. What does life have to do with your good and bad? What does life have to do with all this? Does the sun rise earlier on your special days? Does that happen? Do the rivers start flowing more swiftly? Do the stars twinkle brighter? Today you have found your love. Are the stars twinkling a little brighter? The universe has nothing to do with you, neither has any form of life. You keep feeling small or big depending on your state of mind. Depending upon what the society has fed you with.
So life, actually the life is unconditional. The state you are talking about. So being an ideal human is aligning yourself with that life.
Wonderful. Very well said.
Right? So, like, how can that happen? Because if with practical light can be done on it, थोड़ा सा दिमाग को भी लगता नहीं है practically जब
You would have heard of Zen, huh? It was always good and now it's getting fashionable as well. Have you heard of Zen Buddhism? It's getting increasingly fashionable in young circles these days. I do not know what they are doing with it, but it's coming into fashion now. So a student once went to a Zen master and he asked him, Master, how not to feel hot and cold? The master said, when it is hot, be hot, and when it is cold, be cold. When it is hot, be hot. When it is cold, be cold. Don't resist. Don't resist. That is it. Be one with whatever there is. Don't resist it. Why do you resist it? You resist it because you feel it is bad. And sometimes you assist it, you push it, you augment it. Why? Because you feel it is good. So being young people, for example, sexual urges arise in you, and if the occasion is not opportune, then you resist it. Why? Because you have a certain sense of morality. At the same time, you may not feel like helping somebody, but you will push yourself to help that person. Why? Because that's what your sense of morality teaches you, that these are good things that must be done. So you do it, even if your heart is not into it, right?
So, but when coming for hot and cold, so our body is defined that on 24 degrees Celsius is the most ideal temperature. Of course, if I go above 40 and 50, I need to resist that. To be
Beta, you are a son of this earth. The earth will never give you something that you cannot tolerate. Remember that you have not been thrown as an alien on this planet. You have arisen from this soil. Right? You are a part of this soil. The earth is your mother. It will not give you something that you cannot tolerate. It gives you oxygen and nitrogen in a particular proportion. It may change the proportion, and then what will happen to you? Really? Try that. It takes millions of years to adapt, Peter.
So what evolution happens? We evolve by that.
So evolution happens at a pace that you can tolerate. Did the dinosaurs evolve? They got wiped out because the pace of change was simply too rapid for them. So even when evolution is taking place, somebody is taking care of you. Somebody is saying, all right, let there be change, but let the change be at a suitable pace so that the fellow doesn't get extinct. Are you getting it? Why do you feel that the universe is your enemy? Why? Why do you think that you need to resist the forces of nature? Who taught you that the world is an evil place and that you must secure and defend yourselves all the time? That you need to take care of yourself, otherwise bad things will happen to you. The sun is coming to you. Do you understand that somebody is taking care of things? What if you don't get the sun for one day? Do you understand that sunlight is the source of all energy on earth? All energy. The electricity that is flowing in high tension wires does not come from coal-fired plants or hydroelectric projects. It actually comes from the sun. What if the sun was not there? And the one who has given the sun to you is anyway taking care of you. You have come from the sun. How can the sun be bad for you? You have come from this soil. How can soil be bad for you? You have arisen from the oceans. How can the oceans be bad for you? Do you know that somebody talked of evolution? Evolutionary theory says that the first cells were in the oceans. Now, how can the oceans be bad for you? How can the winds be bad for you? How? But you must resist yourself, right? You resist the world like anything. And in resisting the world, you create a sense of self, and that is the ego. In resisting the world, you create a sense of individual self, and that is the ego. You do not like the animals. In fact, when you want to abuse somebody, you say, don't behave like animals. You do not like naked nature. Be it the nature outside or be it your own naked nature. You do not like it. You do not like what your heart tells you. You are mind driven. Is it not stupid, this belief that we are orphans in this universe and there is nobody taking care of us? Had you really been orphans, how would you have been sitting here? Don't you see that everything is exactly appropriate for you? A little bit of atmospheric pressure, and what will happen to your veins? What will happen? You'll collapse. A little less atmospheric pressure, and what will happen? You'll erupt. There will be blood everywhere. But you don't see that you are being taken care of, and you're not being taken care of by the society. There is something else, a total power, a completeness of existence that is taking care of you. You do not see that your riches, your money, your degrees, your pedigree, your knowledge is not serving you. Something else is serving you. You do not see that you have not really come from your father and mother. You have come up from this soil. You do not see that. And that is why you are so afraid. That is why there is always a need for protection. And a man who is always trying to protect himself, can that man be joyful? Tell me. If you are always trying to protect and secure yourself, can you be joyful? You are afraid. And see the numerous ways in which you try to secure yourself. Financially, emotionally, physically, socially. Are we not always in a pursuit of self-preservation and self-continuation? Is that not all that we want? To protect ourselves? You need very little protection. But your image needs a lot of protection. You, the one that you are, you need very little protection, believe me. But your dreams and your images need a lot of protection. And they are taking away all your time and energy and life.
Being sensitive towards things in life, it is considered bad. I mean, if somebody abuses me, it is very natural to hold grudges. But some wise man has said that to improve any relation, stop having grudges in life. So, is it really bad to be sensitive?
What is meant by sensitivity? What is meant by sensitivity?
Allowing every thought to enter your mind.
How easily you can be offended?
How easily you can be offended?
What we choose to get attached to.
Huh?
Which things we choose to get attached to.
How easily you respond to external influences?
Is that the same as getting offended? When you have to respond to something, can you even respond appropriately if you are already offended?
So, response may be good for you or maybe bad for somebody.
Ah.
So that is like condition.
No, it's not a question of how the other one takes the response. It's a question of from where is your response coming? Is it arising from hurt? If the response is arising from hurt, would you call it sensitivity? Or would you call it a wound? Somebody touches your skin, yeah, and you're able to feel that touch. Yes? And you have an open wound, and somebody puts his finger on that, and you squirm. You would call that sensitivity? Really? What is sensitivity?
So you mean to say that we are already suffering and then external activities are making us more suffering?
No, not yet. What I'm asking is, surely sensitivity implies a response, right? If one is not responding at all, then you won't really call him sensitive. Surely sensitivity implies registering of what is happening. If somebody is not registering at all, you won't call him sensitive. What I'm asking is, where is the response coming from? If the response is coming from your hurt, can it be called sensitivity? And can there be another point from where your response comes? All right, let's take it in the way you started it. You talked of somebody abusing you. Now somebody abuses you. You can either respond as somebody who has been hurt by the abuses, or you can respond in another way. What is the other way?
Being calm.
What is the other way? And can you keep artificially calm? You said being calm. Can you just pretend to be calm? From where will that calmness come?
But you can pretend to be calm.
And you pretend to be calm, but you're already hurt. It's just that you're not showing the hurt.
So that means I'm not sensitive.
No. That only means that the center is the same. The center is the hurt center. I'm asking, can there really be, not a fake center, can there really be another center from where you respond to the abuse?
Yes.
Yes, what could that be?
From your heart.
And what is that?
Like I was thinking about two things. The brain is hurt,
The brain is hurt.
and you respond with that equal stimuli that if you have abused me, I will abuse you. So that,
I will abuse you, or I'll hide somewhere, I'll go and weep, or something.
or I will show that.
Or I'll show who is the boss and I'll hit you hard, or something. Something, right?
That conditioning. That
Depending on my conditioning. Or I may even touch your feet if you are my elder, depending on my conditioning.
Yes.
So there is that one conditioned center from where your response can come. Can there be another center from where response can come?
Yes, the other one is the heart. It will respond like very original, and if something is wrong, so it will think of something good.
So it is the center of understanding, right? It is a center of intelligence. Call it intelligence or call it the heart, means the same. And that is sensitivity. To respond from the center of understanding, not from the center of hurt, not from the center of ego or expectations. Getting it? Sensitive. To be sensitive does not mean that one is sentimental. Sensitivity and sentimentality are two very different things. Do not confuse them. What happens is that if there is a man who looks at the world and starts crying, you say, oh, he is a very sensitive man. This is not sensitivity. This is just sentimentality. And sentimentality is conditioning. And we know of many, many sentimental people, but we hardly know anybody who is really sensitive. To be really sensitive is to be intelligent. To be really sensitive is to listen to your heart. Yes?